And I'm back. So we were just taking a look at the disadvantages of associational research. The next kind of research design that there is intervention study, where this is basically, in a nutshell, this is experimental study, the one that is used in the scientific field. What can intervention studies study? For example, the effectiveness of various teaching methods, curriculum models, classroom arrangements, etc. This is the essence of experimental study, intervention study, where we have a population, we divide them up into two different groups. One actually gets, like I said before, one actually gets the pill, the other one gets the placebo, and we see the differences among the two groups. When we think of quantitative and qualitative research, we have seen differences from one to the other. Basically, the quantitative research is numeric, again, and it talks more about attributes, where qualitative research is quality-based and it wants to really get to the heart of an issue. But don't take my word for it. We can see very brief and...
When doing research, you often have to choose between...
Okay, so you guys can see the rest of the video yourselves because it's almost 4 minutes long. You have the link here. But basically, as you can see, that quantitative is more based on theory testing, establishing facts, more statistical analysis, where qualitative is more about some sensitizing concepts or being able to determine ground theories, develop a more detailed understanding. You guys can take a look at this on your own, but breaking down per the kind of the types that we have just looked at, we can see that quantitative can be experimental, single subject research, correlational, causal, comparative surveys, and qualitative is more ethnographic and historical research. When we think of this being applied to market research, or business research, we know that we can categorize it into primary research or secondary research. You guys already know that secondary research is work that has already been done. And when we are doing primary research ourselves, we have to categorize it into quantitative or qualitative. And besides the samples that we just saw back there, we can think of surveys being quantitative, questionnaires, or phones, one-to-one interviews. And when we're thinking of qualitative, it can be more based on focus groups, in-depth interviews, or observations of the population group that you are studying. Now, how can we classify a design in order for us to be able to determine if we should be using one or the other? First, think of, is there a random assignment used? Is it going to be something more random, or is it going to be something based on a control book or with multiple control group or multiple measures? What we ask, the answer to these two questions will help us to be able to classify whether we are going to be using more qualitative, where it's quasi-experimental design, or qualitative. And this classification is very useful when we have to think about internal validity. For example, a randomized experiment is generally the strongest of the three designs when you are interested in having a cause-effect, causal type of investigation. However, a non-experiment is usually the weakest when we are thinking in terms of internal validity or causal assessment. So for example, a one-shot survey design is the simplest form as non-experiment. It consists of nothing but a single observation. Oh, and this is the most common form of research, descriptive ones. Thinking of the research process itself, I would like to review it with you guys. We have, in step one, we have to formulate the research problem. Then create the extensive literature survey or literature review. We need to develop the hypothesis, and now we are here, we are preparing the research design. Once we have created the research design and mapped out how that's going to look like, then we begin determining the sample. Then we actually start with the research itself. We have created the sample, we have chosen the participants, we have gone out and done surveys, we start collecting the data. We then pass the data on to whatever tool that we have decided to use to execute the project. Then we have to actually analyze. We're done with the research. Now we are in the analysis section of research. We have to test our hypotheses, and then we draw our conclusions. We generalize, we interpret after analyzing all of the data, and then we prepare the report or put the research into a paper or into a thesis or into a dissertation or whatever it is that you are doing the research for. Okay, so here's a test for you guys to see what kind of research design you would use. If you want to think about how you want to be able to determine how parents feel about the elementary school's counseling program. So we want to, I'll give you guys a hint, we want to describe. This is not something that is numeric, it's more qualitative, and we want to be able to describe. This could be an ethnographic research. Number two, do students who have high scores on reading tests also have high scores on writing tests? Let's see, this is trying to test a relationship between two, and perhaps one could be related to the other. Well, this would be a correlational research. And then three, what effect does the gender of a counselor have on how he or she is received by counselees? This could be a causal type of research. So you guys can see if you guys have done this and what other type of research you think would be best suited. This is the end of today's class. For next session, I have included a book, a very short book, which I have posted up on our classroom stream, which is an investigation into qualitative and quantitative research methods. I want you to read this. And then you have all of these online resources for you guys to read. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.